Hey, my friends, welcome to art class. I'm sorry I'm not here today, but today we're going to do something super fun and exciting. I'm going to show you my method for drawing a pumpkin. All right, and we're going to make it look totally 3D. We're going to make it look as round as we can. So here's a pumpkin. It's kind of a yellowish pumpkin, but you can make yours orange. But you can see it's round, it's bumpy, and it has these lines on it. Okay, they're kind of not really black lines, just shadows where the bumps go in. Okay, and it's got a stem in the center. Let's pay attention to some things about these lines. The lines start on the stem. Okay, they all come out of the stem, and then they go around the surface of the pumpkin to the bottom. Okay, they're not straight. They don't touch each other. They all come from the stem, okay? And the pumpkin is not a perfect circle, and the stem is not a perfect rectangle. So let's pay attention to all that, and let's go ahead and get started with our drawing.
Okay, so the first thing we'll need is a paper, and we'll start with a pencil. But I want to show you some methods for drawing a pumpkin that are really common, but I think they're mistakes, especially if we're trying to make our pumpkin look real and round. So, one way I see people draw their pumpkin is a circle, a rectangle, and then straight lines all the way across. Okay, and that looks all right, but that doesn't look real. So another thing I see is a circle, a rectangle, and curved lines all the way across. And that looks a little better. It looks a little more round, but it still doesn't look quite real. I also sometimes see pumpkins drawn like this. And that person, if you're drawing a pumpkin like that, you got the right idea, but it's not quite right. So the lines are coming from the wrong place. They should be coming from the stem. And one last way that I see people draw pumpkins, and they're trying really hard to make it look real, but they just make a simple mistake, is drawing the lines curving the wrong way. So it kind of looks like a basketball or a baseball. So these are all ways that I see people draw pumpkins, and we're not going to do them today. We're going to work on making ours look as real as possible, and I'm going to help you with that. So now let's get ready to draw. First thing is I'm going to put my name on my paper. Don't write my name, write your name. And instead of starting with the round shape of the pumpkin, I'm going to start with the stem. And the stem is going to be kind of a bent or curved rectangle. Okay, and I made mine a little bigger at the bottom than it is at the top. And the first important thing to do is, instead of drawing our pumpkin down here at the bottom of the stem, I'm going to go up a little bit. And then I'll draw around and around and around, back up the stem. And my pumpkin is not a perfect circle, and that's okay. It's actually better that way. Okay, now it's time for the lines. So I'm going to draw the first line, goes from the stem to the bottom of the pumpkin. And it's just straight. Okay, after you've drawn that, from the stem to the bottom of the pumpkin, let's move to the curved lines. And over here, the lines are going to curve this way. So I'm going to start on the stem and draw a line that curves over and down, and then it's going to bump into the bottom of the pumpkin. Do the same thing over here. Curves over and down, and it's going to bump into the bottom of the pumpkin. And I'm going to do one that it's kind of curving around the back side of the pumpkin. So it's going to go from the stem to the edge of the pumpkin. Okay. So we've got this side. None of the lines should be touching each other. They should all be curving this way. All right? And they should all be starting at the stem and ending on the edge of the pumpkin. Now let's move over here. I'm gonna start on the stem and curve this way. Curve this way. And it can be tricky to figure out where to end your line. You don't have to bring it back down to the middle here. You can go to the edge. This one's gonna go over there. Okay, now I feel like I've got a pretty round looking pumpkin. Now it's time to add some color. I'm going to use crayons. You are too. And I've got an orange crayon. I grabbed this kind of yellow-orange crayon. Got a yellow one, and a couple different types of brown. All right, and I'm gonna start out with the lightest hue, and the yellow is gonna be the lightest one. I'm gonna color the whole thing yellow. Except for the stem. I'm not gonna color the stem. And now I'll add some orange. Top yellow, and I'm gonna just go over it with the yellow. Make the top look a little lighter than the bottom, and then help make it look 3D. Okay, now I'm gonna take my pencil and I'll go back through the lines. And if you want to add brown to the stem, you can add brown to the stem. And you can create a shadow on the ground if you want. And if you're someone that wants to make yours a jack-o'-lantern, you can do that. You don't have to do this part, but you can make yours a jack-o'-lantern. Okay. There, we've got a much more 3D looking pumpkin.